Hello, I'm Patricia Henderson with Senior Connection Center, and this is your weekly connection. Lifelong learning has been described as the ongoing, voluntary, and self-motivated pursuit of knowledge for either personal or professional reasons. Within our area, we have many opportunities for lifelong learning: colleges, universities, and community organizations, as well as local libraries. But what is lifelong learning, and what are the benefits? Here today to help us learn more about lifelong learning is Dr. Ara Rogers, Director of the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, or OLLI as it's more commonly known, at the University of South Florida. Dr. Rogers, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Dr. Rogers, what is lifelong learning?
Well, Patricia, it's just what those words mean. We know we live in a rapidly changing world that requires that we acknowledge that things are changing rapidly. There is always more, so therefore there's always more to learn. There's always new ways to think about and be in this world. And lifelong learning really suggests that it should be an endeavor that runs from cradle to grave. But more commonly, lifelong learning usually means opportunities to learn that don't involve applying to a school, having a degree, meeting a prerequisite, needing a grade, or even school credit. And lifelong learning, as you mentioned, lifelong learning opportunities have endless possibilities. Lifelong learning is offered through schools, like you said, a school, a library, a community center, gyms, churches, museums. Really, the possibilities are endless.
So what are some of the benefits of lifelong learning?
There are at least two, but I would say that there are as many as three that we like to think about as we're putting together programs. The first is the learning itself. Maybe you always wanted to learn the guitar, but you never had time to learn. You were too busy. You never had a guitar around. You couldn't find a teacher. But maybe now that you're older, have some more leisure time, you want to spend some time trying some of those things that you always thought you'd be interested in and never had time to learn. That work involved in learning something that you're interested in can bring us joy. It can help us feel empowered, a little bit more in control of our lives. So that's one, learning for the sake of learning, being curious and interested in learning new things. The second is that the actual learning itself is really good for our brains. We now know that our brains are capable of forming new connections and even rewiring themselves through learning and through practice. The key, though, is that the learning needs to be something that's new to us. It's novel, and therefore challenging. If you know someone that's recovering from a serious brain injury, such as a stroke, you can actually see over time this rebuilding in action through the rehabilitation process. That is just such an important physical benefit to us. For older adults, perhaps the most important benefit of lifelong learning is community and socialization. Mm-hmm. As you know, as humans, we're wired to connect. We are not meant to live in isolation. And there now exists a large body of evidence that one of the most important common characteristics of people who age well is that they have a network of people that they can be with, they can talk with, and they can listen to.
Those are very important things. And so in order to engage in those benefits or to receive those benefits from lifelong learning, does one have to attend a formal class?
Oh, absolutely not. Learning learning can happen anywhere and anytime. We are constantly learning, even if it's the new route to take to the grocery store, because our usual route is congested, or there's construction going on. The learning can happen anywhere and anytime. It can happen on our own. You were mentioning how you're taking up painting, and I've taken up the piano during the pandemic period, and I'm learning it on my own. With a book and just sitting at the piano and practicing. And it's hard and it's challenging, and I think I am just making all kinds of new connections in my brain. My mother was someone who didn't have a lot of formal education, but she was a lifelong learner. She had passions about things like living well and aging well. And so she took it upon herself to become an expert on nutrition and supplements and vitamins and minerals that were good for the aging body. And it was all things that she had picked up through her own reading, through her own research. So absolutely, it does not need to be in a formal setting. If you're out with a group of hikers or bird watchers and you're identifying new species or things you've never seen or noticed before, learning is going on.
And the word new is key, correct?
Yes, it is. The physician and writer, Sanjay Gupta, I believe he works for CNN, has a new book out, and I heard an interview with him where he talked about Keeping Sharp, which is the name of his book. And he was talking about how important it is in thinking about keeping sharp, not to keep doing the same old things that we've always done. For example, he mentioned specifically crossword puzzles. Crossword puzzles are great, but if you're good at crossword puzzles, you're really not building new capacity in your brain. If you think of it as a road, you're taking the road well traveled instead of taking the road less traveled, which actually is better for your brain. So novelty is key to this kind of brain-powered learning.
So it could be something as simple as reading a book about a new subject.
Yes, yes. Especially if it's something you know nothing about, if it's something that challenges your thinking. That's something else that is so important for our brains, is to challenge it with different ideas that maybe are not the same ideas that you've been hearing or have always heard. We are reluctant to do that a little bit more these days, and we really need to understand how important it is to hear and take in different forms of information, and particularly to work at the information that challenges us a little bit, challenges our thinking, challenges our way of being, challenges the way we do things. That's good for us.
So anything from reading a book on a new subject, trying your hand in a new hobby, or taking a formal class can qualify as lifelong learning.
Absolutely. Learning a new language, that's a great way to build your brain. I speak Spanish, but I don't speak Spanish as often as I'd like to because I don't have people to speak Spanish with. But I look for ways to practice my Spanish, even when it means I'm awkward because I can't find the right word, or I'm struggling to figure out how to say what would come easily to me in English, in Spanish. Those are activities that actually, even though it can be a little bit frustrating in the moment, those are the times that we are really working our brains and trying to develop those new pathways that can be very protective of our brain as we get older.
And it can be physical as well. It could be learning to dance, learning a new form of exercise, learning
Absolutely. Yes,
about
absolutely.
hiking, things like that could be considered lifelong learning as well.
Absolutely, they can. And those are great examples because I often think of how we should think about learning is how we think about training a muscle. At first it's hard, and then as it starts to get easy, that's when we need to increase the challenge, add a little bit more weight, do more repetitions. And that's how we have to think about learning. Again, the things that are new, the things that challenge us, even if it's something as simple as brushing your teeth or combing your hair with your non-dominant hand, not your preferred hand, those are things that can be good for our brains.
And those can be enjoyable activities as well. Who doesn't like to learn to dance or go on a hike in a new park? Those sound like fun ways to engage your brain as well as your body.
Absolutely. And if you do it with others, then you have got that additional element, benefit of it as well, that you're in a social environment, you're having conversations, maybe they're in a position to show you, oh, look, this is this particular flower that is native to our area, or that bird. And so, yes, those are things that we can enjoy on our own, but are also powerful to do with others.
Many lifelong learning opportunities are taking place online these days. Can you tell us more about Osher Lifelong Learning Institute and the online programs that are available?
Yes, as you mentioned, OLLI stands for Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. We are in our 27th year of operation at the University of South Florida. We're part of a nationwide network of programs intended for adults age 50 and better. And like you mentioned, Patricia, we offer a wide variety of learning experiences, now all online. We offer, for example, classroom learning on topics like history or personal finance. There's hands-on learning where you're actually learning to use your own device by working your own device. You're actually doing yoga by following the teacher, or learning to breathe in meditation by following the instructor. And so we have figured out how to do all of those body, mind, and spirit types of activities that are very important to a rounded or a well-rounded organization. We're figuring out how to do those things and keep that sense of being in community through online, through this Zoom platform. I think of OLLI as sort of a laboratory where we get to see what happens when you put together a group of people who are interested in learning together and let them decide what they want to learn and even what they themselves might want to teach others. So, you know, our instructors are volunteers, members of our community. Some are university professors, current or retired. Some are doctors or nurses or librarians. But they're all people that have a passion and an interest in sharing that passion. We've got groups of, informal groups also, of members who organize themselves to learn together about a topic of interest, like opera or cooking or German conversation. Those are shared interest groups that do not have a formal teacher, but they have a schedule that they follow. They have members that organize the programming, and they have a great time. And I am frequently impressed with how much they learn themselves and then how much they convey to their peers through these programs. We operate year-round. We publish 3 seasonal catalogs, and we are always looking for new topics, new teachers, new students, and new lifelong learners.
One of the benefits of the virtual world that we're living in right now is that no one has to drive anywhere to attend a class. So it does open up the doors to more people participating if they so desire.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We have found that we have grown the number of participants that are coming from farther and farther away because of and they're telling us, I'm so glad you're doing this. I wasn't able to participate before, but now I can because I can do it right from home. I'll be honest with you, Patricia, we entered this virtual world. We were forced into it by the pandemic, and we entered it a little reluctantly, but boy, have we seen the benefits of being able to expand our reach, so to speak. And there's all kinds of reasons why people can't drive, they no longer drive, they worry about how they're going to get across town in our very congested county. Yes, they worry about where they're going to park their vehicles. And now those are non-issues. You can even join in your pajamas, although we would appreciate it if you would turn your camera off if you're going to be in your pajamas. You'd be more than welcome to join us.
And we will have the link to OLLI, as well as other organizations and other resources for lifelong learning at the end of the video. Dr. Rogers, thank you so much for joining us today and helping us learn today and to become lifelong learners.
Thank you, Patricia.
I'm Patricia Henderson, and this is your Weekly Connection.